Good morning, girls. Today, I, Kaushal Trivedi, welcome you for the online session of PD and CS. Let me tell you, PD, that is personality development, and CS, that is not the communication skill but corporate skills. So, as the student of BBA, you will be learning about your personality development, and due to soft skills, you will be able to expose yourself in the market properly. As this is the third session of our PD and CS, I am going to start up a chapter, first chapter from the textbook English and Soft Skills. The title of the chapter is The Boy Who Broke the Bank. This story is written by Ruskin Bond. This story is exposing you about the listening skill. Here, writer has fully focused on drawing their characters while drafting their characters. Through the character, each and every character, listening skill is elaborated. Let us just come to know about the story, crux of the story. The Boy Who Broke the Bank is a short story by Ruskin Bond. It is about a boy who was working at a bank by sweeping up. There is a central character and he is named as Nathu, and he is working in a bank as a sweeper. The bank manager was way overdue in paying him for the job. He was not paid, so bank manager was failed to manage his payment. Soon that bank collapsed, and rumor had it that it was because of the unpaid boy. So one after the other, through different characters, the rumor was spreaded, and later the scenario has become like the bank was going to be collapsed. And the reason is, if bank is not able to make his payment for this boy who is just working as a sweeper, then how can we expect about the other employee? Because word got around that the boy didn't get paid, so people assumed that the bank had no money. Yes, people have started making their assumptions. This story will definitely give you an idea that you should not listen half things. You should, if you get half knowledge, then you will be able to understand, or you will be rather failed to understand about the core reality. So people started making their own assumptions. They were thinking, or they thought, like bank has no money, and they became desperate, and they were only having a discussion about this only bank. The people who dealt with the bank had no money. So obviously they were thinking those who are having the account in the bank will have to take out all their money, otherwise their money will be in trouble. The people, they started about their money. This story is basically about how rumors and lack of communication can cause many problems and be deconstructive. Yes, this story has given you a complete idea that how rumors can be spreaded, how lack of communication be resulted, and it definitely causes different or very serious and deconstructive problems. Now, before I go further related to the story, let me introduce major characters and minor characters of the story. There is one central character, around him the whole story revolves, and his name is Nathu, the sweeper boy. Second, Sitaram, the washerman's son. Third, Seth Govindram, the owner of the People Nagar Bank. Minor characters. These are certain minor characters who are definitely performing their roles by spreading out rumor in the whole town. First, Mrs. Srivastav. Second, Mrs. Bhushan. Third, Kamal Kishore, the photographer. Fourth, Deepchand, the barber. By the story, you will come to know about these characters, and they are definitely misleading, they are definitely miscommunicating, and they failed to give complete information, and due to their due to their poor listening skill, the result was completely unexpected. Now, what I have decided for you is, today I will give you some idea of the story by this narration. Why I am giving you narration, girls? Because I know that you are not having the textbook. Without textbook, you will not be able to understand the story. So, the intention behind this narration is, this narration will make your sense very clear about the story. You will get the complete idea about the story. What is happening in the story, who is the main character, how his mood is, how the communication takes place, how through the minor characters and due to their poor listening skills, things turned unexpectedly. So let us start our story. Nathu was working as a sweeper at a People Nagar bank, and which is owned by Seth Govindram. One morning, while Nathu was doing his job unwillingly, Sitaram, the washerman's son, who was on his delivery round, asked him if he was annoyed. So what was happening? One day morning, as Nathu was doing his usual job, because he is working as the sweeper and he is working in the People Nagar bank, and which is owned by Seth Govindram. So one day morning he was not looking well. He was looking upset. He was looking rather annoyed. ગુસ્સે થયેલો હતો. And he was looking in a furious manner and doing altogether his work. Sitaram, the washerman's son, he was just going for his delivery round. He asked to Nathu about his anger because he was not being paid an extra 2 rupees a month. So he was not getting an extra salary. He was not getting, in fact, his regular salary. Before a month he has received, but at the end of the month he did not have received his monthly salary. Nathu complained him that he had not even received his regular payment on the 20th of the month. So the month has passed, and even after a month, on the 20th, he was not being paid by the bank, so that he was very much angry on the bank. He further added that he would leave the job as soon as he received his salary. So what Nathu has decided, that if I am not getting the payment regularly, then I want to leave up this job. So whenever or as soon as he is getting his salary, he will be leaving this job and he will be taking up the another job. So this is how the story is introduced. This is how the story is giving you an idea about this character of Nathu, that just because of his anger, just because of his expression, the other person came to know, and the other person, Sitaram, he came to know about his reality of salary, and this reality has turned into unreality through many characters, and the story took place. The washerman boy consoled him. He said, everything will be fine, that he would keep a lookout for any job for him. અને સાથે એમ પણ કીધું કે મારે લાયક કોઈ એવી જોબ હોય તો ડેફિનેટલી નાથુ વોઝ સેઇંગ ટુ ધીસ સીતારામ કે મારા લાયક કોઈ જોબ તમને મળે કે તમે જુઓ તો ડેફિનેટલી પ્લીઝ concern me or tell me about it, and so you can look it out, because you are going to different places at different houses, જેથી કરીને તમને ખ્યાલ આવે કે મારે લાયક કોઈ સારી જોબ હોય તો મને તમે ઓફર કરી શકો. In a way, the washerman boy or the washerman's son Sitaram went away. At one of his customers, Mrs. Srivastav's place. Now, whenever the character is introduced, I did underline. So I hope that will be making your sense, particularly in this context, clear, that this is the character, how the role is performed by him or her, and how the story takes place. Then what happened? Now Sitaram came to Mrs. Srivastav's place. At one of his customers, Mrs. Srivastav's place, Sitaram came to know. He came to know the lady of the house was in need of a sweeper. So, by coming to this place, he just came to know that Nathu is demanded. Here, she is in need of a sweeper. He talked with her about Nathu in detail. So, naturally, now Sitaram has conveyed this news to Mrs. Srivastav that Nathu is not getting his regular salary and he is in search of another job. He talked with her about Nathu in detail as to why he wished to leave his bank job, and along with the reason he narrated the whole story. The lady, Mrs. Srivastav, told him to ask Nathu to see her the next day. So, Mrs. Srivastav replied to the Sitaram that definitely I want to see this boy on the next day, so that I will talk, or I will be having a talk about the work, and I will come to know about this person's interest. Let me tell you girls, we are discussing a story. We are discussing a story, or rather I am conveying you a story. This story is based on listening. Whatever the character listens, he will start assuming about the thing, or rather he or she will be having a misconception, and later on by the one or the other person this rumor will be spreaded like a fire. And here, let us see what is happening next. Mrs. Srivastav went to the People Nagar bank. Before she went to the bank, she passed from People Nagar market place for shopping, where she met with her friend Mrs. Bhushan. So here another minor character is introduced. Now, going with this reality, Mrs. Srivastav, when she met her friend Mrs. Bhushan, she conveyed this story to her. If she knew anything about Seth Govindram's bank, it is like when two ladies are meeting or when they meet, what can be the reaction? તમે સાંભળ્યું છે? બેંક તો પડી ભાંગવા જઈ રહી છે. શેઠ ગોવિંદરામની બેંક કે જે ખતમ થવા જઈ રહી છે. It is going to be collapsed. So in this way, she said about this by her reality, by her misconception. She added her thoughts into the story. By narration, she informed Mrs. Bhushan that the bank was not able to pay the salary to their employees for about a month. So, she conveyed this to Mrs. Bhushan that employees are not salaried and almost this is happening with them for a month. She talked about the Nathu, the sweeper boy, who had not received his wages for over a month. Mrs. Bhushan was literally shocked by hearing such a news. He was literally shocked. Oh, is that so? Is it happening with them? She opined that the bankers must be in a bad way if they could not pay even a sweeper. So naturally, she is with her opinion, or she had this kind of an opinion that bankers would be, or bank would be in the bad condition. Then and then only they are not able to make a payment, or that bank would be in such a bad condition because if bank is not providing a salary to a sweeper at least. So here, girls, let me recap the 20% of the story. Up to this point, whatever we have discussed, I would like to end my session by recapping the things, whatever things we have discussed. I started by giving title to the story, The Boy Who Broke the Bank. This is the story given by Ruskin Bond, and this person, Ruskin Bond, who is very famous in narrating child literature. He is having a distinct place in the literature, and this story is elaborating the listening skill. Listening skill will definitely be improved by the student of management. Person has to make his listening, his or her listening proper. So with an idea, I started giving narration of the story by exposing some major and minor characters. So you might have understood about this character of Nathu, how the character is introduced later on by some minor character, how the story takes place. Okay, remaining part of the story will be continued in the next session on tomorrow. I hope that you have enjoyed the session of learning online and will be definitely maintaining in every session. Thank you and have a nice day.